This information I'm about to give you has recently stopped 3 of these fraudulent transactions from happening. And on top of that, a wire was being sent from a closed deal and was being able to be stopped by Homeland Security and sent back. This real estate scam could become a billion-dollar industry if we do not stop it today. Jeremy at the Night Group, your favorite Austin realtor. Look, I make a lot of videos and they're not about scams. And so this isn't normal for my channel to talk about a scam video, but we have to stop this scam right away. I've come into this scam. I understand how it works. I understand what's happening. So I'm going to go through and talk to you today about how the scam starts, how realtors can get duped very easily on this scam, and how buyers that are buying these land in these deals are getting scammed out of millions of dollars daily. So I ask you, please, if you know anybody in the real estate industry, I never ask this on my videos, but I'm asking you this one time, please share this with your friends that are in real estate, your friends that maybe are in mortgages, maybe your title rep companies. So I can't tell you exactly how I know about all of this, but I can tell you about stories that I've come across beyond that and how realtors are getting scammed, how title companies are getting scammed, and how homeowners that actually own properties are being scammed potentially out of their properties, and those buyers losing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So here's how it happens. So this primarily works on vacant land or a vacant property. So something that's just not, it's been deeded down, maybe nobody lives there, it's dilapidated, wherever, whatever. So what'll happen is these scammers will go online, they'll go through county tax records, and they will find information about a vacant property. So let's say this is in Bastrop, Texas, right? So this is right side of my, and this is around the nation. Right? This is around the nation. This just isn't a Texas issue. So this is why I really think you should share this video with everybody. So what they'll do is they'll find information about land. Now, they'll get the owner's information, where they live. Preferably, they want to find somebody that doesn't live in the area. So maybe that land's in Bastrop, but the people live in Houston, right? Perfect for these scammers. So what they'll do is they'll go make fake IDs. They'll get fake information showing they are the owner of that with the address for Houston, not the address for that piece of property. Then they'll reach out to realtors through Zillow, or maybe they'll reach out to realtors in a different area. So maybe they'll call like somebody in Houston and go, hey, I have this land over in Bastrop I want to sell. It's about 55 acres. Do you think that you could sell it? Now, typically how this works in real estate is somebody in Houston isn't going to sell land in Bastrop. They're going to call me in Austin and go, hey, Jeremy, by the way, I have this land I want to sell. Can you sell it for me or help this owner? I've already talked with them. And then you work at a referral deal and I'll send, when it closes, I'll send referral money to that agent. So this is pretty normal thing that happens in the real estate world. So having that referral actually does add like another level of this is legitimate, right? Because that agent's already talked to you. Now you're coming to me. So it sounds legitimate, but they are not the right owner of the land. They just found all the tax information. Maybe they'll go out and actually have somebody walk the land. So you will talk with them on the phone. You will text with them. The only thing you may not do is video text with them. And this is how I think if you were selling vacant land or you're selling something, that's just dilapidated or really nobody's around it and nobody knows of the land, right? Or the property. What they'll do is they'll reach out to you. They'll give you all the information. You'll go out, take a look at the land, go, yeah, this is right. And then you'll verify back and forth with the person that the land is what it is, right? They will not have a survey for the land. They're not the owner. But this is typical for land that's been deeded down several times, right? You may not have a survey for this land. So that's something that's pretty typical. So this is how realtors kind of get duped on this. Now, they may say, look, I'm too old to get on video or, and they're doing this more towards older people who are not paying attention to their land. So they'll say, hey, look, I can't get on a video call with you. I can't do that, whatever. Or they'll just stop and go find somebody else who will, not verify who they are. So one thing you can do on land like this is, or one of these, dilapidated properties that's vacant, is go door knock the neighbors and say, hey, by the way, I'm getting ready to sell this land over here. I just want to ask you real quick. I have the phone number for the owner as this. Do you have that phone number? Do you know them? Can you give them a call and just verify that they are selling the land? I think that would stop some of this from happening, but they do vacant land where they know that there's not neighbors around. So it may be hard to actually find the actual owner. So agents, you are going to have to do more due diligence on vacant land because this scam is happening a lot. I have heard stories of agents who have been completely scammed out. The title company paid out, money came in from the buyer, went to the seller, and they closed fraudulently. They will have, like I said, they will have identification. They will send to title identification. And here's how this really works. So what they'll do is they will find a patsy in like California, right? And they will find like a love story. So these people do not live in and around the area that you live, right? They probably live out of the country. So they'll find somebody in California and say, hey, look, I love you. I want to move to California and be with you, but open up an account for me so I have an account. That way I can get residency or whatever. They'll scam somebody. So that person, maybe in California or wherever, will open up this account for somebody and think that they're in love, think that they're going to move to that area. What happens is they become a fall guy, they become a patsy. So what happens is title will get the account from this person, but this person created the account for that person. And then they will send the money to that account. That person will take the money out and send it to wherever around the country. They will know that the buyer, typically on buying land, will pay for a new survey. So they will put that on the buyer, and they will want to close as quick as possible. They will put so much pressure on you to close as quick as possible. And if you ask questions, they may make you feel like an idiot for asking those questions. And so this is how they kind of dupe realtors. Number one, if you don't meet with them face to face on the land, they may not be the right person. In fact, it's kind of hard to tell with these scams. You might be meeting with somebody you think is the landowner and they are not even the landowner. Maybe there's a patsy that the foreign national decided, or not even foreign national, the person who doesn't even live in the country got to scam to show up and say that they're the landowner. They will actually use that person's photos on the driver's license. So here's what happens. You get all this information, you send out a listing agreement, they agree to the commission structure, everything, you put the property on the market, and then all of a sudden you get an offer on it, and then it goes to title. Title was supposed to do their due diligence on these, right? So they're supposed to get IDs from the owner. They're supposed to get banking information from the owner. And that's particularly how one got stopped. Money literally came from one closing, hit that account, Homeland Security stopped it and sent it back. Don't ask how I know that. Okay. What happens with title is that title will continue with the transaction. They think it's a real transaction. And then what will happen is maybe the seller's like, yeah, I will come in town. I'll be in town. I'll come in town for the closing. Last minute, they're like, you know what? Can you send us a notary? So what will happen is they'll send out a notary. And most of these title companies say that they send out a licensed bonded notary and all this yada, yada, yada. There are several closed transactions that have already happened. Meaning fake seller reaches out to listing agent puts it on the market, buyer puts an offer in, they try to close in 30 days. Now, look, on a big piece of property, you might have an investor who needs 4 months to close because they're doing due diligence. They want to make sure they can put apartments on it or whatever. And they don't want to work with that person. They want to work with the person that's going to close the fastest. So that might be a red flag for you as well in this process. Anyway, you get through closing, title sends out that person that's supposed to verify. They will actually meet with somebody. Somebody will sign as if they are the real person. It goes back to title. Title verifies everything, closes, sends money to that seller. Seller takes that money, boom. And now you have a homeowner or a landowner that thought they still own this land, right? And it's been sold out from underneath them. Now that's a muddied title, so typically that landowner is going to get their land back. Yet that buyer who just spent $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, $10 million on that lot, that money is gone and shipped wherever around the country. Secondly, they will know that the buyer will pay for a new survey. This might be a question, and it's going to be something that's going to get pushed back on quite a bit. So know that if they don't have a survey, that potentially you might want to do some more new due diligence. Now, again, there's a lot of times that surveys are not available on vacant land, right? So the third would be if they don't live anywhere near that land. So let's say that in my scenario, the land's in Bastrop, they live in Houston, right? But now all of a sudden they said, we left Houston and live in California. So they don't even live in the area that they say or claim to be in. Now, you're asking me, how do realtors get duped on this? How do realtors get, over the last 2 years, there's been so many transactions that I know of that people have not even met with their buyer or seller throughout the whole transaction. And this happens quite a bit. Okay, so the other red flag is if they will not meet you on video. That should be an immediate red flag, or if they say I have issues or whatever, Or even then, I would just do more due diligence at that aspect because they could be putting somebody on that's scamming you as well. The other red flag you may run into is that they want a lot of information about the title company, and they may want to know how they do their mail outs, right? So they may want to know, how do they do their mobile notaries? Do they use licensed and bonded mobile notaries? They may ask a lot of those questions, and they may ask you just to change title companies because they don't trust that title company. Well, that's because they know they may get caught in this scam, and they're spending lots of time. Look, they will have someone come out and look at that land before you. They will have somebody that knows cardinal knowledge about that land, and it validates everything. So make sure that if they are questioning the title company you're using, why they're questioning the title company. If you're running one of these land deals and all of a sudden like it just doesn't feel right, I would take a step back, get with your broker, start doing some more investigating just to verify that that homeowner or that landowner is indeed who they say they are. Now, title companies are having to make some changes. Like I said earlier, title company that I work with is already caught 3 more transactions out of this, and Homeland Security was actually able to stop money from flowing one direction to the other from this information. So if you're in the middle of a land deal and some of this adds up to what is happening right now, I'd immediately stop and start trying to find out who the actual owner is, because you may be getting scammed at this moment. It is happening every day. I have actually heard stories of people showing up to a U.S. embassy not in the United States and signing off, and then that money still making it to that person, right? So they will show up with fake passports and everything. They will show up with fake IDs. This scam is very intricate, but it's happening primarily on vacant properties and vacant land where the homeowner or the landowner is not in that same city. Because think about it, if you live 2 blocks down from your land and all of a sudden you see a sign go up, you're gonna be like, wait a second, why is there a sign on my land? So it works best if that person does not live in the area. Now you could get scammed with them living in the area too, yet that's gonna be how they know. They're gonna go through tax record and find addresses that don't match up with the address of the land. It could be a home too. I would imagine that this scam has happened on homes that maybe they had tenants in, and they were like, look, I just want you to market off market. Maybe the home is worth $500,000. I want you to market it on these sites only, and I want to get an off market deal for $350 is what I want. Well, that makes a lot of sense for, they're trying to flip it. They don't want to deal with the tenant. Okay, it makes sense. But the buyer agent on the other side better do some due diligence. And buyer agents, just don't think that you're excluded from this, because I would start asking as a buyer agent, the seller's agent, hey, by the way, have you met with the seller? Have you actually met them face to face? Have you walked the land with them? Have you verified that that person is who they say they are? Because guess what, buyer's agents, if you are not part of the person catching this, you could be sued as well. Everyone's gonna get sued at the end of the day when this transaction goes through that you on the buyer side did. And the listing side, I know people are gonna say, oh man, these realtors are so easy to get duped. Because look, over the last few years, there are so many transactions that have happened where you don't meet the seller, you don't meet the buyer, whatever that is, and because of the pandemic. And so these are some of the things that are happening because of the pandemic, and this scam is very effective. I mean, I know of agents right now that are having to deal with lawsuits because of it. Thankfully, not me. All right, so drop a comment below. If you have any other questions, if you have any other concerns, drop those comments below. I will try to answer anything I can. Like I said, please share this video. Real estate agents have to know about this scam because this scam is sweeping the nation.